Good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom, and we are here with the beautiful Rikki. And as you can see, I'm not in my normal habitat. I'm up in Brisbane. I've just done an event in Brisbane, and so I'm at a friend's house in her office. So I feel like I'm looking down because I don't have all my normal setup. But you go with the flow. So Rikki, how are you? How are you going?
I'm good. I'm very good. It's a cold, drizzly morning here, and I hope you can't hear the construction going on next door. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm good. I got my coffee and I'm ready to chat.
Awesome. And I just found out that I'm actually 10 minutes away from you right now. So
Yes.
yeah, that's so cool. Anywhere in the world, and we're 10 minutes away.
I know. Gotta love it.
So Rikki and I met at the Mind Body Spirit Festival. She had a stall, I had a stall, and you were working, in a different, like not necessarily your own stall. You were working for somebody, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got chatting because my daughter and I connected straight away and bought some products. And we just were talking, and I knew that you would be someone that we could have a great discussion, being women of light, having a great discussion about everything, that we need to talk about being a woman. And these days we're starting to be allowed to without being burnt. So, it's really beautiful being able to come out and start expressing our sensuality and our sexuality and our honoring our body and all of those things, right? So I'm going to hand over to you to share a little bit more about what you do, because we've sort of left it open, right?
Yeah, and that's because I do so many different things, I think. If I was to try and share in a summarized way what I do, although I've got my finger in so many different areas of this work, everything that I do is around helping people who struggle with body image and self-acceptance to find that inner confidence, to find what it feels like to be empowered in their own skin and to accept where they are, so then they can start to move forward to where they want to be. So I do a lot of work that is nude. I'm in the radical self-love
arena. Yeah. Well done. Someone's got to be the gladiator, right? Gladiator. Oh, can you say gladi? How would you say that? Gladiatoress or something?
Gladiatoress. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything I do is in the radical self-acceptance, radical self-love. I'm a nude yoga teacher, and I use that as a skill to bring women together, to make a workshop out of it, to deep dive into courage and vulnerability and self-acceptance. And I never, ever would have thought that I would be doing this work. If you asked me when I was a kid or even a teenager or even my early 20s, there was no way that I would have believed that I would be here. But I think my own journey within my own relationship to my body has paved the way for me to now facilitate and to guide other women on their journeys.
Okay, so are you okay if we go? Let's go into that, because we've all had us women have all had our conditioning and hatred of things that have our bodies, and if we don't look a particular way. And even like, I'm working with a young girl at the moment that could be a supermodel, and she doesn't matter who you look like and what you look like. We've been conditioned to feel like we're not perfect and to go through that whole process, right, of not appreciating that this is our beautiful body. So what's your story? How did that all unfold for you?
I think just like every other woman, like you said, you start off and you're a child and you have no inhibitions. It's just your body. You don't care. You're just there to have fun and be playful and innocent. And as you get older, you do get the social conditioning. You go to school and you get the messages from all of your school friends and the peers and the bullies, and then the teachers who are potentially insecure and projecting onto you. And then depending who's raising you, we are a product of our environment. And if you've got parents that are judgmental on themselves or each other, and we're just such a sponge. And it's so unfortunate that we don't get taught any of this growing up. And so I flowed through life like any other woman, you know, has, until I got to the point where, after many, many years of putting myself and my body in toxic, harmful, unhealthy, dangerous situations, it was just kind of like a light bulb moment where I was just like, I can't live like this anymore. I just can't. I was about 25, and my partner of a few years dumped me after a night out seeing live music, and I was just shattered. And like most things, you know, a breakup sends you off into something else, but it was more than that for me. It was the time of my life, as I said, 25, when I realized I have never learnt who I am. I don't know what I like. Everything I've ever done with my body or the way that I look is for external validation or the pleasure of my partner. And I had like this quarter life crisis, I think. And it just set me off on my own self-inquiry and self-discovery journey. And I'm now about to turn 32 in a couple of days. And so I've been doing this for a while, but it's hard, and it's painful, and it's emotional, and it's challenging, and it's never going to end, is the thing.
And that's the thing, right? It's constant self-discovery in the layers and exploring, you know, because as you start understanding yourself, you've moved into that next level of maturity and age, and so it's like, oh, there's new stuff here to unfold, right? So
always, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you know, you're still getting bombarded with advertising and media and, you know, just people and
sexualization.
It's never gonna go away. And so we have to learn the tools and the techniques and practices so that we can, in a healthy way, live alongside all this crap that's just not going to go away. And that's why it's so hard. We have to wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and choose love. And it's not linear. It's going to be easy some days, and it's going to be really difficult other days.
Yeah, absolutely. And like all things, right? It's not just that. It's like all things. This is part of being alive and processing and experiencing who we are. And you know, it's a really interesting journey, right? Because my body was designed to have children. And I did really well, like 2.5 hours, bang, both, you know, like I had them and easy and everything, you know, like and through that process, you know, it's got the curves, it's got all, you know, like the you know, the what used to be, like, go back in, is it the Renaissance? You know, like in those times my body would have been seen as, you know, amazingly beautiful, and it's coming back. However, it's been a hard journey, you know, when everything is bombarding with you, you know, like that's not the body that is being portrayed out there. And so, you know, it's watching us as women and the self-talk and what we say to each other, that's really been the interesting journey, right? And just as you were talking, something that came up for me is I've got a couple of questions. One is, like, I love for you to share what the experience is in your yoga classes. Like, do you have all shapes and sizes? You know, how do you manage, you know, do you have emotions come up for women, you know, all of that sort of stuff? And I'd like to ask you, you know, it just came into the field. A lot of women feel when they go into that confidence and strength within themselves, that's one of the things that I'm aware of, is like you shine brightly, right? You're seen. And so somewhere someone has just asked, you know, how do you manage that in a world where there's predators, you know, like, so if you've got, you know, your version of it, I know what my version is, but yeah, so that's two questions, but I'm going to leave you with that, and I'd love for you to share your version.
Okay, so let me clarify that last question. So the question was, when you access that level of confidence in your body, you're then worried about the response you get back. Is that right?
Yeah, because one of the things that I'm aware of with women,
yeah,
is when you're on the other side of that, when you're not confident, when you're, you know, self-obsessed, when you're concerned about who you are, and you've had, you know, traumas from being seen before, and maybe being abused in some way, or your body being sexualized or whatever. That is one of the fears that a lot of women carry, and it can be a genetic experience, right, from women in the past. In, you know, we've got it in our blood system, you know, in our cells. So women who aren't confident yet fear being confident, as one of the byproducts of that is you're seen, right? And you can be exploited through that, you know, sensitivity. I remember the reason I'm asking is I felt it in the field, but I remember when I was in that place of not wanting to be seen. In fact, I was telling someone the other day, because my hair's always been blonde, and you know, I had really blonde hair, and I've got this big smile, right? So I never used to wear blue or pink, because I just shone so brightly. It was just like, it was intense, and people would look at me, right? Yeah. Like, you know, even the shopping centres, and people would look at me, I'd be seen, and it was so confronting. So when I was younger, it was always browns, blacks, you know, deep reds, deep greens, like, don't be seen, you know, like, and, you know, I can't help smiling. It's just something that I do, but, you know, it was something that, don't look at me, don't look at me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I knew when people would take your energy, you know, I felt it. And, you know, like you'd get those looks of, you know, being seen as a sex object or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when you're on the other side of that, right, that's one of the scary things, is how do you manage that confidence when you might have eyes on you, and, you know, like, and, you know, dealing with men in general, or you know, maybe women as well, that are lured by that, you know. So I just felt to ask you the question. So I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. Let's start with that one, because we've been talking about it now for a few minutes, and then I'll go back to the workshops. But what I feel about that, and it's going to be individual for each woman, because we all are going to portray ourselves and hold ourselves differently when we access that level of confidence and empowerment. We all look different. As you said, you know, you had the blonde hair and the big smile, and I've got the dark hair, and, you know, a different body shape. And so we're all going to be looked at differently. But there is always going to be people looking at you no matter what, because you're all beautiful to somebody. Yeah. And it is a very normal feeling to be scared about accessing that level of empowerment. And I do talk about this in my workshops, is that the scariest thing about going into learning about yourself is finding your own power. Like, we are so afraid of finding that level of power within ourselves that we don't even try to do it. It's just
that's baffling. What I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's baffling. And I mean, I can only speak about my experience with this, and how, you know, I was perceived when I changed the way that I held myself based on my own level of self-worth, and how that changed. And for me personally, it actually got less. I was so sexualized as before this journey, before I started this journey, because I allowed it to happen.
Yes.
For me, that meant that I was being accepted. I was being validated. So I would allow these people to sexualize me, these men to sexualize me, and I thought that I was doing the right thing. And looking back at that scares me so much more than what it is now.
Because it's so powerless, right? You don't even realize it.
It was me. It was all me. Like, they're going to do whatever they're going to do, but it was up to me to say yes or no. And I didn't know the word no. And that led me into some very, very bad places. And I'm lucky to be alive and not have been impregnated by these men. But it's boundaries. As you start to find that confidence within yourself and the understanding of who you are and what you actually want, like your truth is what I call it, your deep core truth, you realize that nothing you're doing is for anyone else but you. And you can dress the way you want to dress. You can walk down the street holding your head high, shoulders back, chest out. People are going to look, but you won't even freaking notice. So you're not going to feel sexualized. And maybe if you're at, a bar or wherever you are, where there might be men that are inebriated and want to come up and be like, la, 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 la. But so strong in your own alignment that you just go, oh, look, no, thanks, I'm with my friends. And you walk away and you don't feel sexualized because you have created this boundary, and they just go, oh, all right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah. It's so true, right? I remember a friend of mine, a guy I went out to a nightclub with in Sydney when I was younger, not that younger, 30s, and your age. And I remember him saying, "I love watching you dance on the dance floor." And I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because I often dance with my eyes closed." And he said, "I watch you and you're just in your own space, and then you'll open your eyes and you'll notice that there's a man in front of you thinking that he can dance with you." And so I used to just go smile at him and just put my hand up like this and turn around and just keep dancing. And he said, and they just look like, huh? What's all that about? And they don't know what to do, right? So they just head off and go somewhere else. When you're in your own space and boundaries, you don't take, people don't know how to handle when you're empowered.
Most people don't. And you will get the cocky ones that are going to try and try and try and try. And I mean, those are great opportunities for you to test yourself and to keep affirming your boundaries, because it is a forever journey. And maybe someone will come up to you and you will like the look at them, and then you will decide within yourself to say yes, not because they asked, but because it's your choice. And for the women that were out there asking this question, like, you're not going to believe me until you
experience it. Absolutely.
Like, it's all talk until you start your own journey with this. And it is scary. Like, you have every right to be fearful of it, because it's hard to find this place in yourself. And it's a lot of power. We hold so much power.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting place, isn't it? Because when you're on the other side of it and you haven't experienced it, it's different to powerless is when you're concerned about it, right? And so you're fearful, how do I respond, like blah, blah, blah. And then there's the other side of that where you're powering over and you think that that's the place of being empowered, and it's actually not either, right? Because then you're being the predator in a way, you're being the one that's and that's powerless in its own right as well. Like, you're sexualizing yourself.
Yeah. But
to find that happy medium, and it might actually look like, you can have the most amazing and, be naked doing yoga or whatever. And it's not to power over or to sexualize yourself. It's this beautiful being, like, this is who I choose to be, and accepting and embracing it. And that is, it's so intoxicating to everyone else around, right? when a woman's in love with herself, it's so intoxicating for everybody around, and it's there's a responsibility for us with it. Yeah. We have to be aware that power you were just saying, like, we're very powerful beings when we're in that space. We are magic. Yeah.
Yes. And you're right. It can go the other way, where you enjoy the power too much and it does become unhealthy. And that's why self-reflection is always really important, and to just keep questioning yourself and to ask, like, am I doing this out of my highest good, or am I doing this for the right reasons? And it's okay to get a little bit power hungry sometimes. Like, we've been so repressed for so many generations.
I know, like, take it on and own
it. That you're just like, oh,
I'm just gonna revel in this. I can never say the word.
Revel in it. And
so
do it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your workshops. That was just a great segue. So
yes,
what's it like? Walk us through what, for someone that might be in this area. So we're in the Brisbane sort of area. I mean, I don't know.
South East
I'm in Cleveland at the moment.
Yeah. So I travel around and I do 4 different locations in South East Queensland. So I'm Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, and Toowoomba.
Okay.
I was also in Byron Bay, but with the borders and stuff, that's just become too difficult. But I am a naked awakening facilitator. So this is a women's nude yoga workshop created by Rosie Reese, who is the founder of Yoni Pleasure Palace, which is the stall I was running when I met you.
Yeah.
So she is a pioneer in women's nude yoga. She kicked it off about 7 years ago. She's in Perth, and it was just called Nude Yoga with Rosie. And she'd get a bunch of women in a candlelit room, sitting in a circle, practicing naked yoga to bring about self-love and to just see that all of our bodies are perfect and imperfect, and we're all the same without our clothes on. And she got so popular with this that she would travel interstate and run all her workshops, and she was just getting so wanted that she just couldn't stretch herself thin enough. So she ran one facilitator training. I flew to Perth, got trained up, and now I'm the Queensland facilitator for this work. And the beauty of it is that she's created such a powerful structure that then I had the permission to bring my own flair and my own life experiences to create my themes and the way that I work it. So there are 8 facilitators all over Australia. So if you are in Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, I think that's it at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's women out there doing this work with their own beautiful energy. And so I've done 3 themes so far. Self-love, it's a journey through self-love, a journey through self-acceptance, and emotional energy release. And this is a 3-hour workshop, and it's so much more than just doing yoga in the nude. We do sit in a circle, as I said, so no one's like directly behind you if you're worried about doing yoga poses with someone there.
All the questions that come up for people, right?
Like, no way, I'm not doing a downward dog when there's No, in a circle, it's very dimly lit, like it's just candles. So you can just see the beautiful shapes and silhouettes of the other women in the room. And there's incense and music and a beautiful altar in the center, which I always take my beautiful vulva casts to, so everyone can look at all the different vulvas.
That's awesome.
We deep dive into meditations. We do our nude yoga practice. We do vulnerability exercises. There's a sharing circle. There's closing rituals and dance parts, and every theme does have like little different aspects to it. But it is such an incredible space, and I've been doing it now for just over 2 years, and I've really realized that I got drawn to this work and decided to become a facilitator of this work because this is the exact healing that I needed.
Yeah.
And although I still have the capability to facilitate it, every time I step into that space, I'm going another level deeper within myself and the way that I perceive myself, and I show up as a facilitator and, as an energy healer and space holder. And for me, I didn't realize how much I had a disconnect to the sisterhood and the collective feminine energy. I had the biggest sister wounds to work through, and I didn't even know that until I started running these women-only workshops.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think that we've all been there, right? Like, I don't have any blood sisters, and I hung around men for most of my young years because I didn't know how to be around women.
Yep, I'm the same.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's very interesting breaking those barriers, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's incredible. The most powerful thing about these workshops is the transformation that I get to see in just such a short time. Like 3 hours, it may seem like a long time to do the workshop. You know, the yoga is only about 40 minutes, so it's not 3 hours of yoga. But women arrive and their body language, they're like nervous and they're shy and they have to get changed into their robes, and they come into the space, and it's always like a beautiful space. So the energy is supportive and held. But then by the end, they don't want to get dressed. They just want to stay around dancing in the nude. The lights come on and they don't even care. And that's just the most incredible transformation to see in just such a short period of time. But it is just like the tip of the iceberg with the work.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine it would go very deep, and so, you've got people like women that, I'm assuming you hold space really well for that, amount of women too, because that's exploring self, right? At the deepest level.
Yeah. Yes. I think my past training as a Reiki healer has really taught me a lot about holding space and protecting my energy from the other women there, because there's some women, most women, unfortunately, that come in and are recovering from extreme trauma.
Yeah.
And when we do have a sharing circle, and that is one of the most profound parts of the night, is to look around the room and just see all these incredibly beautiful naked beings, and just more than just the physical, just the energy of these women. And they are so lost, they are so disconnected, they are hurting, and it's the first time that some of them have ever had the opportunity to just be witnessed and to speak without anyone trying to offer advice or to fix them or to tell them they're broken, or oh, it's those moments where I think that is where
I just felt it. I felt your heart. Yeah. It's those moments that you recognize, right? That you go, I'm on here doing the work. I'm living my purpose. Yeah.
And it's big. And there are some times where, like in the early days when I was just starting to run the workshops and hadn't, it comes with experience. I think the more you do it, the more you know how to hold the space. And there was a few moments in the beginning where I would hear some stories, and I would just, because I'm so empathic, I feel so much, and it would just hit me, and I'd have to carry this story of this woman then for the rest of the workshop and try to facilitate and hold space. And so I really had to practice and keep learning how to just be the space holder and not take it on as well. And that's where the Reiki training really helped me, was to protect my energy and to just be there to witness and hold. And but it's so sad. Every single woman has a painful story to share. And
and at the same time, aren't we blessed to be living here and now, because we have the opportunity, like even our conversation online today would have had us drowned, burnt, like like ridiculed, shunned in public, all of those things at different times in history. So aren't we blessed that now is a time that we're actually allowed to open up to being who we are?
Yeah.
And taking ownership of and understanding, like dancing with that magic and that power that we have, and understanding how to guide ourselves through it so that we can navigate our world and understand our men, and you know, navigate how to hold space for them so that they can open up to being empowered and not, you know, powerful over, you know, like being able to hold space for us, you know, like it's a beautiful time in history, isn't it, really?
100%. And even like for our children and or just the children that are in our life, like I don't have children yet, but I've got plenty of nieces and nephews, and I'm just, you know, I'm the auntie that's always naked and sells crystal dildos, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're going to take you to what do they call that at school? Show and tell. You know, like, here's my auntie.
I would love that. I would like getting this information out to children is so important. I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm there yet, for sure. I don't think I've had enough professional training with like dealing with minors in that way, but it should be part of schooling.
Absolutely.
Be part of schooling. And I feel like this is the generation now, or like just this is the time now, this is the decade where it's our choice to make this change for the rest of our lineage. Like I really like now is the time. And I think even when COVID hit, that was, you know, a horrible thing to happen, but it set us off in an even like faster trajectory to spirituality and awareness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people waking up, you know, okay, we need to take ownership of our own space. That's a new concept, you know, like, yeah. So, Rikki, how do people get in contact with you? Do you have it? I know that you've got an Instagram page, I think, at least.
Yeah,
You've got a couple of things.
Facebook, YouTube, website. It's all just my name, Rikki. Yeah. So I think you've spelt that in all the promo for this chat, so people can just search that anywhere and they'll find me. And
you would be able to, when we get off this, because we can't see who's actually physically watching, but when we get off, if you can put all your contacts in the comments. And if you're watching on YouTube, then we'll have that in the comments as well. So, and we'd love for you to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications. YouTube then goes, they're interested. And so it helps our channel as well. So thank you so much. It was lovely chatting with you. I've got a girlfriend that lives in Toowoomba that would absolutely love connecting with you. So I'll make sure I get her connected with you because she'd love this.
Yes, we've got a really great community of women out in Toowoomba because it is so rural. We get the same women come every time and then new women, and we always go out for brunch the next day. And the thing that I've created that I want to share before we go is I've created an ongoing support network for these workshops. When I first when I first started running the workshops, it just dawned on me after 6 months that women need some ongoing support after this, because it is just the tip of the iceberg. You can crack your heart open to this experience and then go out of this safe container back into reality, and it's just like, you know. It's like we've created, we're called the Nude Sisterhood. And
awesome.
Once you attend one of my Naked Awakening workshops, you're initiated into it, and we have meetups all the time in all different locations, so we can just come together and hang out with like-minded women who aren't going to be about comparison and judging and, you know, competition, and just continue that support. We've got an online Facebook group where we can just ask questions and show up authentically and be vulnerable. And that's also a really great part of Naked Awakening.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And lovely to chat to you. I'm sure that we'll catch up another time eventually. At an MBS maybe, or even just somewhere along those lines.
So
yeah. Excellent. Take care, Rikki, and enjoy, everyone, and love to see the comments of what you got, what sort of value you got out of this, because love to hear your little stories on, you know, in the comments as well. So
reach out to me If you have any questions, even if you were like triggered by this or found it highly uncomfortable, I want you to reach out to me and we can talk about it. I love chatting about this, and I'm here to support anyone who's ready to take the next step.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Take care, Rikki. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.